Hello, friends, and welcome to the JonCast. This is episode 37. Can you believe it? If you know me, you know why episode 37 is so significant. I'll definitely talk about it in a later episode. But for now, today's episode is called The Tallest Bridge in Nanaimo. And the subtitle, because you know that I love subtitles, it's the tallest bridge in Nanaimo that was built over a river and specifically for the express purpose of jumping off of. Now, I know what you're thinking. Where's Nanaimo? Isn't that the city where if you go to Vancouver and then go due west across the Strait of Georgia, you make landfall on Vancouver Island and you'll be in a city called Nanaimo where they do the bathtub races every year? Yeah, that Nanaimo. Okay, so it was about 28 years ago. My wife Becky and we met a couple named Greg and Joy at this weekend thing we used to all like to attend. We hit it off with them, and we would hang out with them often. So, cutting a bunch of detail out here, we decided to go on a vacation. We decided to go to the Great Pacific Northwest. It was about 1995 or so. Our travels took us to Seattle, where we decided to start off our trip doing some sightseeing and eventually camping. And funny side story, of course, there are no side stories, right? There are no tangents, by the way. This is the story. We got rained out the second night of our camping trip. So thankfully, Greg and Joy had a friend named Jen who lived in the area, and she and her husband let us crash for that night. We were able to stay out of the rain, stay dry, and get some well-needed rest. And from there, we continued our adventure. We decided to go to Vancouver Island, and so we caught a ferry, the kind of ferry that you drive your car onto. It was totally cool. So on that ferry, I came across a flyer for a place in Nanaimo. Honestly, I don't remember the name of the place, but if you Google it, you'll easily find it. The flyer had a picture of a guy who was jumping off of a bridge with a bungee cord strapped to his ankles. Awesome. I didn't even finish reading the flyer. I just said, yes, I want to do that. I showed the picture or the flyer to Becky and Greg and Joy. And now what's special about Nanaimo to me is this huge metal bridge, right? It was made specifically for jumping off of. So the group was gracious enough to indulge me, and off we went to Victoria, to Nanaimo, to jump off a bridge. Okay, so the way it works is you pay your money, and then you sign this waiver where you just completely sign your life away, and then you step on a scale. The person who took your money takes a Sharpie and writes on your hand how much you weigh. Remember now, we're in Canada, so that's going to be important in just a little bit. Anyway, you walk from there up the bridge. There's about 300 stairs or so because the bridge itself is about 45 meters tall. Now, for my friends in America who don't know how long a meter is, well, it's about 10% longer than a yard. So yeah, the bridge is about 150 feet above the surface of the river. That's also going to be important in a minute. So once you're at the top, it's a short walk to the middle of the bridge where there's a platform that, again, was specifically made for jumping off of. So I get there and there's this long queue, all of us waiting on this beautiful sunny summer afternoon to jump off of a bridge. Apparently these people are just as crazy as I am. And so if you know me, you know that I'm talking to everybody, asking questions like, is this your first time? Where are you from? Do you have life insurance? Oh, good times. So we're standing there and watching person after person jump off the bridge. My heart would stop almost every time. My excitement was growing because I knew that soon it was going to be my turn. So the line started to get shorter and I got closer to the platform, and I was carefully able to watch the wranglers attach the bungee cord to people's ankles and watch them cast off. I don't know if they're really called wranglers, but it sounds pretty good. By the way, how do you get that job? How do you become a wrangler? What does your resume have to say? What do you say during the interview? I'm really good with people and I know how to tie knots. What a job. So anyway, I strike up a conversation with one of the wranglers whose job it is to tie knots. And he says that he himself has tried everything. He's jumped off the bridge wearing skis. He's done it on a mountain bike. He jumped naked, and what he said was the scariest thing that he'd ever done was jumping off the bridge with a huge rock. You see, when you jump off with the big heavy rock, the cord stretches longer with the extra weight. And when you get to the point where the cord is stretched out as long as it'll go, the stretchiest part, you let go of the rock. What that means is now the recoil will actually propel you higher than what your jumping off point was, which is thrilling because you might actually hit the bridge on the way up. Awesome. My mind was racing at this point because I wanted to squeeze the juice out of this event. I knew that this was a once in a lifetime thing. It was expensive. Of course, we were young, so we didn't have a lot of money. I had one shot at getting the most thrill, the most bang for my buck. One of the jumps right before mine, the Wrangler exclaimed, "Damn it, I missed." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he said, "Well, I was trying to get the guy wet by dunking him in the river." And I thought, "You can do that? I want to do that." So, okay, all of a sudden, it's my turn. And like I said, I wanted to squeeze everything that I could out of this. And so I told him that I wanted to do this in the scariest way possible. In fact, I want to do it backwards. So the Wrangler looks at me and nods his head. Okay, I got you. So he wraps a towel around my ankles, and I'm not even kidding. It's a bathroom towel, the kind you use to dry yourself off when you get out of the shower. He wraps it expertly, I might say, around my ankles, and then he attaches this strap and a hook, a carabiner. Now the towel, of course, was to protect my ankles from the strap, which is what was doing the grabbing. And the strap was made out of like seatbelt material or heavy duty seatbelt material, strap material. Anyway, so he straps me up, and now, of course, I can't walk because my ankles are tied together. And so I'm kind of hopping in place. He looks at my wrist and he sees the number that's written on it. Now, of course, panic goes over me because the number on it was like super small. It was like 95 or something. I don't remember exactly, but I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, that's not how much I weigh. They must have gotten it wrong. Well, okay, I panicked for a minute, but then I realized, okay, I'm in Canada. 95 must mean kilos, not pounds. If you translate that into pounds, doing the math in my head real quick, okay, that's probably about right. So it took me a minute. I'm already panicked on top of panicking. And so I calmed down for after a couple of deep breaths, and okay, so my heart is pounding. The Wrangler chooses this cord. Now, the reason that's important is because he's choosing the right cord based on my weight, and it also needs to be long enough so that I can also dip into the water and not go too far, but not go too short either. So, okay, so I got all these thoughts kind of running through my head, and he's doing all these calculations and all of this math, and he guides me over to the handrail. I kind of hop over to it, and then he has me look at him, so I'm facing backwards toward the river, or my back was toward the river, and I'm facing the bridge. And of course, I'm holding the handrail, and my knuckles were just white because I was gripping so hard. Obviously, I couldn't maneuver very well, and so my life's totally in this guy's hands. So he strapped the bungee cord to the carabiner that is wrapped around, or that is attached to the strap that is wrapped around my ankles, with a bath towel that is protecting my skin. And he guides me over to the edge, and because I want to go backwards, he guides me to the edge, and he has me hang my heels off of the edge of the platform. So only my toes are on the platform. My heels are over the air. So, God, I hope he picked the right cord. I just wanted to, I don't know. I was just so scared, and I'm just like totally obedient right now. So he guides me over. I can feel my heart about to pound out of my chest. And at this point, he's, coaching me, and he looks me square in the eye. He says, okay, you're going to jump backwards. And because you're facing me, I don't want you to look up. You need to keep your eyes locked on me. He got his nose right up to my nose, and he says, keep your eyes locked on me, because if you don't, you might over-rotate. And if you over-rotate, the cord might wrap around your neck, and that would not be good. Holy crap, I was terrified. So, okay, he backs up, gives me a little bit more space out of my bubble, and he says loudly, probably so that everybody could hear, I'm going to count you off by saying 3, 2, 1, bungee. And when I say bungee, you jump. Ready? So, of course, I don't know if I'm ready, but it doesn't matter. It's too late now. He says 3. And I felt my grip of my hands loosen just a little bit, and I start to bend my knees. He says 2. I bent my knees and I started my launch. 1. I pushed off as hard as I can. And right when he did that, he said, "No, wait." Oh my gosh, what a sucker. I can't believe he did that to me. But here's the good news is it was already too late. There's no way that I was going to be any more panicked than I already was. And so I looked him square in the eyes. It didn't matter. I just saw him. I saw myself leave the platform. I launched it. It was just too late. There was no more time for fear. That dude was messing with me, and it was probably hilarious to everybody else that was standing there. But to me, well, honestly, I don't really remember being afraid. All I remember is silence. Everything went into slow motion at that moment, like hyper slow-mo. I looked at the sky, and it was super bright and blue, and then I see these white billowy clouds, and then I see the horizon that is like totally just upside down, which I remember thinking, it's upside down. Oh yeah, that's right. It's supposed to be. So I gently continued my fall backwards, and my gaze met the upside down horizon and then the bank of the river, and suddenly splash, I hit the water. It was awesome. The water went halfway, kind of about to my waist, if you can imagine. I'm upside down, and so the water goes up to my waist, and the next thing you know, I'm getting yanked out of the river. I was looking up at my toes, looking toward the bridge, and I was just screaming toward the bridge, looking over my toes. And I tried to do like a sit-up, but I just couldn't because the force was too great. So I found myself coming to the crest or the top of the curve, the apogee, whatever, the top of the curve of my fall, and I felt myself just kind of, spread my arms and kind of turn over, kind of pretending to be an eagle or something. The apex of the curve, I started my plunge back down toward earth. This time, I didn't go as far as the water, but it was still a great stretch on the cord, and you get to the end of the cord, the stretchiest part of the cord, and and up again, I raced toward the bridge and bounced for the next minute or two. Now, after that, obviously it was thrilling. I couldn't believe how awesome that felt. I was lowered down. After I stopped bouncing, I was lowered down into this little boat that they had on the river. The assistants down there unhooked the carabiner and unwrapped my ankles, and then guided me over to the shore of the river and then up the bank of the river to greet my friends again. Man, what an amazing, amazing feeling that was. And maybe I'll go back one day, but I'm glad that I did it at least the one time. Greg and Joy were standing on the edge of the river. They weren't on the top of the bridge. That's where Becky was, and she was able to see me and, of course, see the expression on my face as I was screaming toward the bridge, and the absolute glee that was on my face. And Greg and Joy took a picture from the side of the river, and I wish I still had that picture, but it was me looking like I'm halfway toward my death as I literally jumped off a bridge. Wow, what an amazing time. Anyway, that was episode 37. I'm looking forward to talking at you again next time. Hopefully you enjoyed this. I will talk to you later.